now tuned in to the cold, hard truth. Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Good morning, everyone. What's going on? As you guys can see, I am not at my regular spot this morning. Good morning to you all. I'm at the coffee shop, and I gotta tell you why I am not in the regular studio doing the regular show. So I had to go to the doctor this morning. I don't know if I told you guys this before, but I feel like everything on the left side of my body seems to be really weak. I think I need to do some strengthening of everything on this side, some physio. So a couple months ago, I think I might have mentioned this, when I went in, actually this is more than a couple months now, when I went in about my knee. Remember, I have a torn meniscus in my knee. I was then saying to the doctor, oh, by the way, my shoulder has been kind of like sore recently, but I only notice it when I rotate it backwards. So if I have to like reach backwards to grab something. And he did a physical exam, and he said, right, it looks like you've got some inflammation in your shoulder. So he said, I can give you a shot right now. And I was like, you know how you have to mentally prepare for certain things? It's like when I go to the dentist, don't spring on me that you want to do a procedure right then. Like, oh, let's just do an extraction right now. And I'm like, no. I need to think about it. I need to come to terms with it in my head beforehand. And so I was like, let me see how it goes. And he's like, it'll probably take a while to settle, whatever. So couple weeks ago, this still wasn't really settling all that well. And I haven't had time to do physio, which I should have made a priority, but I haven't because of the election and being super busy. And then I started to get a pain in my elbow. And I was like, oh Lord, same arm, same left side. I'm just like, what's going on here? Why is my little left side falling apart? So I reached out and made an appointment. And so he's like, yep, tennis elbow now. And I have been playing no tennis, but it's from repetitive movement that overuses, I guess, that particular area. Who knows? It could be typing on the computer, it could be typing on the phone. So anyway, he said, listen, you need to consider this steroid shot. And I was like, really? Do I really? And he's like, it'll help get the pain under control. Then I'll give you some medication, but you've got to do physio. So I said, okay. I bit the bullet and I got 2 shots. And can I tell you, the one for the shoulder wasn't that bad. So I guess you see I have a little Band-Aid right there. I don't know if you can see it, but the one for the shoulder wasn't really that bad. He said, I don't want to touch the bone. So he goes in that sort of angle. I was like, okay. And he said, do you want to lie down so I can do the one in the elbow? And I said, okay. He said, yeah, it'll just put you in a more comfortable position, right? So I'm thinking, all right, sure. And I lie down, and the one for the elbow was super painful. And I had to hold on to the poor nurse. I think I was squeezing her arm so hard. But yeah, the elbow one was not nice at all. Thank you. Yeah, the elbow injection wasn't nice, and I could totally feel that going in, and it seemed to take forever. The one in the shoulder seemed really quick, but the elbow, I was just like, oh, are we done yet? And he's like, not quite, almost there, almost there. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so painful. So since I was already there, before I went to that appointment with Dr. It's an orthopedic surgeon, go check him out. He's really a nice guy, actually. I said, well, I think I had some blood work from February that's been in the system. So I went and did that as well. So I'm all poked. I've got 3 injection marks today. But so many of you were messaging me to say, Sandy, where are you? We miss you. Where's my morning show? One person actually said, listen, we were just talking about routines, and you're part of my morning routine. So what is going on? So my apologies. I just wanted to explain what happened, and so now I'm here. So let's get it on. So good morning to Renita. Oh, girl, you've opened up a whole can of worms there. That is a whole entire show that we must have. But yes, I feel you, and I think the position is there's 100% truth to that. I was actually watching something on the news yesterday. I wasn't really watching it, but I kind of heard it in the background about how people of color are more likely to be stopped by the police. They're more likely to be arrested for minor infractions. They're more likely to be put in jail. And there's still people who don't want to admit that this is a reality, even for us here in Cayman, but it really, really is. Trust me. Oh, this needle in the elbow. Oh. I'm guessing because it's probably just such a sensitive area to go into. But yeah, I can still feel it. The shoulder, like I said, isn't too bad, but the elbow, Ooh, that injection. No, sir. Good morning to Miss Morna. Good morning, Punctus. How are you? Charlene is here. Yes, we're going to have that conversation, Renita, because unfortunately, people don't want to believe that people will judge you based on just how you look. And we all do it. We're all human. We're all guilty of it. But when it happens to us, it's not nice when we're on the receiving end. But how many times have you not seen somebody walking, right? Let's think about it for a second. You're just standing up and you see a Spanish person walking by, looking nice, some heels, maybe clothes a little bit snug fitting, let's put it that way. And what's the first thing that comes to your mind? The first thing you probably Wonder whose husband she going to steal right now, or you know what I'm saying? And you don't know anything about that person, but you just judge them based on their appearance, and that is what prejudice is all about. So we're all prejudiced at some level. Um, you know, for some of us, it may not be a color thing, but it might be a nationality thing. It might be age. Some of us are prejudiced based on age. I mean, the reality is we all have prejudices. And I think even babies are born, they've recognized that quite early on, that even a baby will prefer certain people to others. And it's based on appearance. And so you think, wow, is it really? Because we always say like being prejudiced is a learned behavior. So we can unlearn it. But if babies and really, really young kids already have this, it's almost like it's a little bit built in terms of their preferences. Maybe it's a little bit more than just a learned behavior. And we have to really work hard to not engage in it, I think is a really important thing. Um, so Charlene, thank you so much. She says she lives in pain 24/7. Listen, pain is not, you don't recognize how good life is when you wake up in the mornings and you're absolutely pain free. Like when you're pain free, you don't even think about it. You just jump up out of bed and you're like, whoo, let me start my day. I jump in the shower, I'm good to go. But when aches start to creep in, and you're kind of not jumping out of bed, you're kind of crawling out of bed, you appreciate being pain free. Good morning, Daisy. Good morning, Karen. So yeah, I think sometimes, Omar, we got to do what we got to do. Omar says you just made me make up my mind. No doctor visit for me. Tell him to throw away that needle first, then I come and check him. Listen, sometimes, unfortunately, um, you have to bite the bullet and do something that's a little bit painful short term. Ooh, I can feel like the medicine is still moving its way around that area. Like literally, I can feel it in there right now. It's not a nice feeling. But yeah, Omar, don't be scared. If I did it, I'm a total wuss with needles and stuff. You can do it too. But I think the idea is to allow it to settle down. And you know what else too, Omar? And this is a little bit of medical knowledge for you. That sometimes when they go in there and they like prick an area, even pricking it activates the body's, because the body actually gets used to you being in pain. Now this sounds crazy, but this is why chronic pain, the body I think just gets used to it, and the body's kind of like, oh okay, I'm okay, but you're not, right? And so you've got to find a way to break the cycle of chronic pain. And sometimes what you do is you like not really re-injure the area, but even putting a needle in there will activate the body's response system. So now the body is like, whoa, 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 something just pricked me. I need to send all of the, I don't even know what the medical term is right now. Like I should know this because I've done enough research on this, but it's going to send all of the pain fighting resources, let's just put it that way, to that particular region. Because right now my body really feels this because this feels different than the chronic pain that I've gotten used to. And so even with shockwave therapy, they think that that's one of the reasons why things like shockwave therapy or even acupuncture might actually work. I mean, they can't medically explain acupuncture a whole lot, but they think it's because when you go in there, even with that little kind of surface needle or whatever, and you start pricking an area, you're kind of telling the body, hey, go to this region, like pay attention to this. And so that will assist it in healing itself. So there's something to be said, even for what I've done this morning, which was two steroid shots in the one arm. But yeah, shockwave is like kind of similar because it does a little, like it sends shock waves to a particular area, and it seems to, for certain types of injuries, it seems to work extremely well, actually. So, Miss Soka Says that the CMR Live wasn't coming up on her page. I'm not sure why that is. Sue, thank you so much for logging on. She said the steroid shots are good. I had 3 of them. Yes, I had to hold on to the nurse. Oh my God. Hope the pain improves. Yeah. Steroids are not something you want to take lightly. Sometimes they work in the short term, but I think that long term, you've got to do the things that the doctor recommends. So he said, you've got to do physio. You've got to strengthen that area. You got to know what exercises are recommended. I've got some pain tablets. So he's also said, because I'm not a person that likes to take medication. So what I will do is I'll take it when I absolutely feel like I need it. And he said, well, what I need you to do right now is take it for 10 days straight to get the inflammation and the pain under control so that you can get in there and start doing your physio. So thank you, Miss Iva. Yeah, a lot of you message and you're like, where are you? Well, I'm okay. Just a little bit extra pain right now. But Sophia says that she gets judged all the time. King says ageist, sexist, homophobic, bigotry, xenophobia, colorism, sizeism. We're all there. Trust me. Omar, I'm feeling you, Omar. Trust me. But I was like, I'm gonna bite the bullet today because he says my body's just gonna say, idiot. You made him juke you with a needle. Run. Oh my gosh, Omar. Omar's the baby, the big baby. He's like, no needles. Yeah, a lot of us have a fear factor when it comes to needles anyway, So whenever I give blood or they have to take a blood sample, I say, please use the baby needle, like literally the infant needle to get into my veins. Because the other thing is, I don't really have veins that pop up very well, so they always have an issue getting in there. Sometimes they actually have to go through my hand, which I don't think they like to do for some reason. They like to go into the arm. So, yes, I think I'll be fine. Hopefully by tomorrow, I've dropped off my prescription. Hopefully by tomorrow, I'll start to feel a little bit better. But right now, I can tell you the elbow is like, whew, it's on fire. So listen, we had a few things happen yesterday that were super interesting. First of all, there was a prayer breakfast in the morning. So a big shout out to the speaker. He does this annual event. This is actually the 25th annual parliamentary prayer breakfast. And it's like the executive and the judiciary get together and they do prayer for different things like the community, for youth. They do prayer for the government, the elected officials, and then they do like songs. And it was really, really nice. It was a really lovely event, actually. Even if you're not super religious, the songs were beautiful. And they really put a soft spot in your heart to see that, yes, we can come together in fellowship and just enjoy that moment. So I absolutely loved it. And I think that I'm going to do, at the end of the program, I'm going to share a song by Sylvia Wilkes, because I love this song. And I didn't even know that Sylvia could sing, but child, Sylvia has got some vocal cords on her. And the selection of the particular song that she chose was just absolutely beautiful. I loved it, actually. So big shout out to Sylvia. She has got a voice to die for. And a lot of the songs, there's one that they sung at the end. Oh gosh, what's the name of it now? But it's like a classic gospel song. I can't think of which one it is now. Oh. But anyway, I remember, growing up in church, that was one of the staple songs that you learnt. And so it was so nice to kind of have those songs come back to you and be able to sing them. And I actually really had a fantastic time. And the other thing that was really nice is it brought so many people together from so many different walks of life. So there's a lot of, obviously, churches were there. They were well represented. They had a couple different pastors that were there. Joey Ebanks from Northside, he gave a prayer for the youth And I hadn't seen him in years, actually. He looks good. Joey had his little mishaps, and, in this community, we really believe in giving people second chances and third chances and fourth chances sometimes. But yeah, so he looked good, and he was there, and there were so many CMR fans there. Of course, they were like, "Oh, we love the cold hard truth." So I got a lot of encouragement from them, and we live streamed it, and I saw a lot of you tuned into the live stream, so I'm glad that you enjoyed that as well. So good morning, Marshall and D Banks. So Andrea says she cries when it comes to needles. I know what you mean. I try not to look. That's my thing now. Like, before, I'd be looking like very intensely at what the doctor is doing. Now I'm like, just look away and grin and bear it. But yes, child, sometimes you gotta do it. The thing you don't want to happen is you don't want something like chronic pain to actually set in, because then, that's a whole other mess. Elizabeth says, I had you guys worried. Oh, thank you. I know everybody's like, listen, I am here for it, and you get started on time. Yes, absolutely. Waymaker was the song that Sylvia sang. Was it Victory in Jesus? Was that the last song? It might be, Elizabeth. But my aunt used to sing that song all the time in her house. Aunt Lottie. Ooh, she didn't have the best voice in the world, but she loved to sing. And there was another one that she used to sing. What was that one called? Oh my gosh, I'll have to try and remember that. But anyway, just about how imperfect we are, but for the grace of God, right? So King, big shout out to King. He's joining us from the UK. King has had to deal with a lot of those prejudices in life, unfortunately. And even in my own life, like, sometimes I reflect back and I think, oh, remember when I used to be skinny and I used to look at fat people with like a side eye? And yes, I'm calling y'all fat because I'm now in that category, and that's what I call myself. So it may not be politically correct, but I'm fat. And child, when I used to be skinny, I'd be looking at fat people like, how did they let themselves go there? And now look at me. Apparently, it's very easy to go there, folks. Sadly. But again, you don't appreciate it until you get there. So, we're going to be working on that some more. Everybody claims I've lost some weight during the election. And I said, well, that was the election diet for you. Now I got to build on that and continue. So good morning, Miss Ellen. Soka said, I was wondering where you were. Good morning, Miss Joy. Good morning, Miss Morna. Yes, I never knew that about Sylvia. What a beautiful voice she has. She is very, very blessed. Good morning, Robert. So on top of the prayer breakfast, we also had the press conference yesterday. Now, I think maybe tomorrow we'll go into the details of the press conference, because I know a lot of you have questions. And I want tomorrow's discussion to be all about vaccines and all about what was discussed in relation to the vaccines during the press conference. But it would be amiss of me to not mention that I was actually at the press conference. As you guys noticed, I was definitely invited. Thank you to this new PAC government. And GIS has informed me that the Premier, the Honorable, I'm so used to just saying Wayne, but the Honorable Wayne Panton has said that CMR is to get invited, like all other media, to all of our press events. Inclusion. Thank you so much, Mr. Panton. Really, really appreciate it. And that's all we've ever wanted was inclusion. Like, we're not asking for anything special. We don't need to be different. We just want to be included just like everybody else. And so finally I got an invite. And the irony of it now is because I've been so used to not getting invited. You guys know that we still pull the live stream, and we're still able to have that on our platform. But the other benefit of me not physically being in the room is that I don't get distracted by anything. So if I'm doing the live feed, I'm able to start writing my story as they're saying it. So ironically, I can actually be more productive not being in a press conference, if that makes any sense, because I am able to listen and write my story all at the same time in front of the computer. Being in the press conference room, I don't have that advantage. So it's a little bit of a disadvantage, but I said, you know what? We have been saying how we've been excluded from the press conferences. So the very fact that we've now got an invitation, I have an obligation to be there and to be able to ask questions, like live questions, on your behalf. So I felt like it was important for me to attend and to go, regardless of it being a little bit counterproductive when it comes to my productivity level, which is a different situation. By the time they got around to me, though, oh, the questions, Lord, the compass. They always, I'm going to start eating my little salmon bagel. Now, you guys know I love me some salmon, and thank God it's good for you. So I got a salmon bagel. You guys got to come and check out their menu. I'm going to try to move this. I can't use the left hand too much right now. It's really weak, to be honest. Ugh. So they were supposed to bring me some orange juice, but I kind of feel like they forgot. So this is a salmon bagel with avocado and cream cheese. Now, traditionally, bagels are not all that healthy for you, but I figure, oh my gosh, my arm is like, I feel like I can't even use my left arm right now. But I figure with the salmon and the avocado, that's, I can't even cut this properly. That's good fat, they say, that avocado. So everything in moderation. So this is really delicious. This combination is really good. So let me just take a little bite. You guys have to excuse me. Delicious. I could do some fresh pepper, but good. Good morning, Miss Dorat. So yes, Andrea, they're definitely being inclusive, which I certainly appreciate. But by the time the Compass asked their gazillion questions, and then Wendy got up there with a whole sheet of paper, I was like, oh my God, Wendy. We were the last ones. And in fact, a lot of you didn't even know I was there until Donna said it. And then I started getting flooded with questions. But a lot of the questions, to be honest, were not. The primary purpose of the press conference was to discuss the COVID situation and to also make sure that we don't get rid of or don't lose out on the benefits of this vaccine that we have sitting there. We got to use up the vaccine as the bottom line. So I was just sitting there quietly minding my own business and taking my notes, live streaming it at the same time so you guys could watch it. And then once Donna said I was there, everybody's like, oh, Sandy's there. Let me send in a question. But a lot of the questions were not relevant to the discussion at hand. They were more like general questions. So I have your list of questions. I'm going to get answers to those, rest assured. But I didn't think it was really appropriate to ask those specific questions. And I kind of felt like this government just got in. We need to give them a minute to get their feet wet. They have to hit the ground running, obviously, in the current circumstances. But at the same time, we have to be a little bit fair to them. They have to, each minister has to go around to their respective departments and agencies and really meet with people. And, they got a lot of work to do. Believe me, I don't envy them at all. They have a lot of work to do. So Miss Elizabeth, thank you. She said we're moving up to the east side. But yeah, the questions were so lengthy. And at that point, I think a lot of people were just like, oh God, let's get us out of here. So I didn't want to belabor the point in terms of just asking questions just for the sake of asking questions. But fear not, I appreciated the invite and we will going forward. We're hoping that they'll do regular press conferences. We will definitely be adding your questions to the mix. So yes, Soka says she was surprised and said, I was like, look, Cassandra, I loved your question also and wish you asked more. Yes. So I did have more. But like I said, it was a balance of, okay, we've been here over an hour now. The governor had to leave. I think a lot of the civil servants who, are there with the press conference. No, we were there for 2 hours because they started, by the way, they pretty much started on time in case you guys noticed. Like they were very prompt yesterday. Before we were always waiting in the progressives. It became a running joke during COVID. We were always waiting on them to get started. These guys yesterday, like 2 minutes after 3, they were popping off, but it had been a 2-hour long press conference. I thought, oh my God, I mean, we couldn't ask all the questions that we had. But anyway, we will get those answers for you for sure. Omar, this is actually, I'm at Bluestone Lane, which is here in town. Central location, so sometimes it's easy to pop in here. And their service is really good. And you know what? They hire a lot of Caymanians. They have a lot of Cayman service. Samantha, who's one of the supervisors, she's actually out this week because she's having a shoulder problem. But Sam is always here giving you top-notch service. So Liasa says that she loves avocados. Now, you know, most of us just be like, pear and bulla, which I didn't know was a thing until I met my husband. He's like, oh, I'd like some pear and bread. I'm like, what are you going to eat pear and bread for? He's like, do you not eat pear and bulla, pear and bread? And I'm like, no, not really. So that was kind of different. But he's like, all right, what are you people doing here? It might just be me that didn't get the memo. But I love avocados as well. Louisa, good morning. Yes, trying to light up on the carbs, so you can't eat a bagel every day. Yes, Maddie. So they did invite us. Again, big shout out to the Pat government. I can't let my food stay here too long, child. These old flies be trying to come at me. So it's good to just be included, especially when I'm in the business of providing people with information. You know, it's good to be able to get that information firsthand. So this government is very responsive. So we're going to have them on the show. You guys know we're going to be inviting them on to come and discuss all their matters. And reach you, the people. I think next week we can actually have Mr. Saunders on. And maybe we can book Kenneth as well. I need to start using the proper. By the way, I got a little bit of trouble with Miss Donna yesterday. She said, oh, people are complaining that you referred to Minister Brian as Kenneth during the press conference. I was like, oh, Lord Jehovah, where are my manners? Let me try to get it right. And of course, it is challenging. Delicious. It is challenging when you're used to calling Kenneth to now remember that he is Minister, the Honorable Minister Kenneth Bryan. So you guys have to forgive me if I get it wrong for a minute. Marva says, totally agree with you, Sandy, and trust you as media to prioritize and know what to ask as we transition with the Pat government in their new roles. Definitely. So tomorrow's show we're going to dedicate to discussing the press conference. The other thing of note that happened yesterday is after the prayer breakfast, I got a call from Charles Whitaker, and Charles said, Sandy, I went to the police station this morning and I tried to make a report of my own and was told basically that they can take my report, but they're not going to do anything with it because they have everything that they need for their investigation, and they only intend on investigating one party. This is basically what the police told him, which I think is so crazy, right? So they only intend on investigating one party, and apparently that party is him. So he has a complaint that they're not going to take seriously. And I thought to myself, Surely this cannot be right. I mean, come on. Are you kidding me? So I also did a little mini interview with him. And, you know, I'm disappointed to hear that any police officer would say that because it concerns me on so many levels. So I'm thinking, let me try to understand this. If I come into the station as an assault victim, a rape victim, whatever, and I say to you, this has happened to me and I'd like this investigated, a regular police officer with no special skills really has the wherewithal to tell a victim that, oh, well, your matter isn't all that serious enough, or we don't think you're really the victim here. So this is a decision that the beat officer is going to take and tell you not to bother with your complaint. I mean, the implications of what was being said to me are crazy. So I'm like, okay, that's crazy. So I wanted Charles to share that. We will be having a more extensive interview with Charles about not so much the day of the events, but what led up to all of what transpired, because I think you guys need to know some stuff. Omar, where is good mood food? Where is that? There are so many restaurants and good places to eat in Cayman, I can't keep up. Elijah loves that they hire Caymanians as well, makes her feel welcome. Um, oh yes, Marva, we can always do. I don't actually drink coffee, but I'll have my hot chocolate chow. So Irvin knows all about bull and pear. Yes, ma'am. Yes, we're gonna pray on this shoulder and this arm, chow. I think it's gonna be okay. It's right next to the town hall, Miss Sue. Remember the what we would call the old chamber building? That's exactly where it is. Yep, right next to the town hall. So I was a little bit disappointed to hear that that was Charles's experience. But, oh, your stipend from last year. Oh, Omar, tomorrow we're going to talk about stipend as well and the abuses that I keep hearing that are happening with some people and their stipend money, which isn't good. But we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna break that down because that was the one question that I did ask at the press conference. So I want you guys to know why the question was asked. Next to the falls. Oh, okay. Looks like I gotta go West Bay Road. Miss Sue says that her grandson is chef at Elephant and Water. Oh, that's another good cafe. All right, Lizette, good morning. So apparently, Charles then went to the ombudsman's office, and they basically said, "Oh, they can't investigate that type of a complaint about the police. They can only investigate it if it's in the line of duty." And what they seem to think as well is that, well, whatever you say in your complaint becomes a matter of that's your defense. So that's what they're thinking, right? That Charles is making a complaint that should be his defense. And I'm like, no, hold on a second. If Tracy assaulted him, which she definitely committed assault, because assaults, that's verbal. Battery is when you actually make contact with someone. That's when you batter someone. And neither of them made contact with each other. But she did assault him. So if they're going to charge him for all of the, what are the charges that they have against him now? Disorderly conduct and all that they need to charge her too. Who committed more disorderly conduct than her? Who popped off first? Who started cursing? I mean, come on now. If you're going to be fair, and the justice system is supposed to be fair and balanced, that's what they tell us anyway. But like we said from the very first comment on here, we know it ain't fair and we know it ain't balanced. but at least pretend that it is, right? And if you're going to pretend that it is, you should be taking Charles's statement and you should be pretending to investigate it like any other serious complaint that you would be investigating. So I'm insulted that the police don't seem to think that Tracy committed any offenses. And then telling Charles, but oh, they didn't see the video. I'm like, how can you be investigating something you not even looked at the video? Like, really? Bunch of jokers. Ultimately, it will be up to the DPP's office to make a decision on whether or not they will file charges. But I do believe that you need to take the report and you need to take it seriously. And this is why even when victims come forward and they say, oh, I've gone to the police and I've been dismissed and, I'm a victim of domestic violence or whatever, and they're not taking my complaint seriously, and all of us look at it like, no way, the police would never do that. This is a prime example of yes, they will. And if you're only as good as the weakest person on the police force. So you might just gotten the police officer who should be donkey of the day because they don't know the law, they barely understand their jobs. And here they are telling a victim, no, you can't, don't waste your time giving us a statement because we're not going to do anything with it. We have our man already, and the man we have is you. Something just doesn't add up here. So I think that Charles needs to continue to pursue that. Charlene just got her job good. We're going to talk about it tomorrow, Charlene. We're going to talk about all vaccines all day tomorrow. So yes, by all means, I would say to ensure that, the police are doing their job. I think some of the senior officers on the force need to call Charles in and take his report and take it very, very seriously. This isn't semantics here. You know what I'm saying? Equality in law is the principal thing to do. And you should always seek to be equal in the application of the law and the execution of the law. And sadly, it doesn't happen. Jasara says if she was so afraid of him, she wouldn't have kept running her mouth and just waited for the police to arrive and to deal with the situation. Listen to me. Tracy was not afraid of Charles at all. And I feel confident that Charles never would have put his hands on Tracy. He has enough training. He might have cursed her out and called her a fool and a bitch and whatever else he might have called her. But it wasn't going to that place. And you know what else is so funny? The little 19-year-old kid that Tracy allowed to get between her and Charles, which if that was my child, I would be talking to that boxing gym like, hello, she's 19 years old. She is still a child as far as I'm concerned. Like, you guys are ridiculous for allowing her to do it. Tracy needs to be fired, and I don't care who likes it from who don't like it. She should be fired. So I thought to myself, Charles is a professional boxer, right? And he might be on the slim side, so he might be a what was his title? Weatherweight, whatever the heck it's called. But I'm sure Charles can throw a punch. You saw what he did to that door. If he really wanted to get to Tracy, do you all think a 19-year-old kid would have been able to stop him? He would have knocked her and Tracy out with one good upper right hand or uppercut or whatever the heck you want to call it. So I don't even know why the 19-year-old thought that she was going to be Tracy's bodyguard and why Tracy allowed that to happen. To me, that's absolutely ridiculous. I can't believe that there's been no comment about her being reprimanded for her behavior that day. But trust me, I'm going to hear a lot. Thank you, Louie. Hey, Gabby. You guys are really going to hear a lot in terms of what led up to that event and what's been going on at the Boxing Association. And, if they want to set this record straight from their perspective, come on the show and let us know. We'll put it all out there because we need to get to the bottom of it. So that was afternoon. Oh my God, it's hard to even cut this bagel right now. I gotta tell you this. Woo! This arm is, I feel like I need to put it in a sling to make it rest for a bit. So for the press conference, finished around 5 o'clock. I had to go Westbury Road because I had been invited by Road Rat Blue, big shout out to them, to be their guest speaker and to talk about CMR. So, great group of young people. When I say young, they're like 20s and 30s. I think they go up to, I think the club goes up to 30 or 35. I'll double check. But a wonderful reception. They also had Felicia from Radio Cayman speak about the changing face of media. And she was talking about her experience working in media, both overseas and in the Cayman Islands, because she worked at Cayman 27 before moving on to Radio Cayman. So it was very interesting to hear from her as well. And, right before my presentation, I get this breaking news story, this message about the director of the DPP stepping down. Wow. Now that is breaking news for sure. And I thought, really? My good people, I had people all over the world messaging me about that one. Saying, ooh, what happened to the director? Interesting. Huh? The DPP has been a hot mess for a minute. And someone reminded me yesterday, they said, Sandy, you've actually talked about the DPP before, but I don't think anybody was listening. Well, y'all better listen, because I've talked about this lady who was the prosecutor in my case there with Matthew Leslie. What's her name again? Darlene Oku. By the way, she's no longer in the DPP's office, my dear. They created a position over in legal aid department. It was a new position for legal aid counsel, and that's the job that she's gone and snatched up. So, you come to the Cayman Islands, you can easily move even within the civil service from one job to the next with no issues, apparently. And better yet, if you're Canadian or from somewhere else. So it's a little bit crazy, to be honest. So she's no longer a prosecutor. Imagine that. I'm like, really? So her highlight case of the year was me, and then she quickly moves on to a totally different department. But you guys know I'm working on trying to get that appeal heard. So at any rate, he has resigned amid allegations of racism. Now we have heard, hello, Miss Sylvia, you and your beautiful voice. I got your video all queued up. I'm going to play that here in a bit. So everybody stay tuned in case you missed Sylvia's performance yesterday. You'll be able to catch it here on the program. So yes, my dear folks, he has resigned, but there have been a lot of allegations about him and how he manages people for quite some time. I don't think there was any problems with his competencies as a lawyer, so his ability to put together a case and whatever. His competencies and lack thereof was people skills, how to deal with people, and how to not be prejudiced against the Caribbean people in your department, which by and large, there's a lot of Caribbean people in there. They might be Caymanians, but there's quite a few Jamaican nationals. And where else are they from? Barbadian and other places. So, yeah, he seems to have had some issues with that. And I've been hearing stories for a very long time about him. So I'm not surprised that his tenure at the Office of, what's it called again? Of Public Prosecution, and as the director of that office, has come to an end less than 2 years after he was appointed. Oh, Soka. Where is Bernie Bush? It's the same question I asked yesterday, because we have not heard from Bernie publicly on this situation? None at all. And I do think that he should have made some sort of a statement on the boxing gym, even if it was nothing more than to say, I'm aware of the situation. I am involved in bringing about a resolution to the situation, and let's see where it goes from there. Bernie been silent. And speaking of people who've been silent, I'm going to speak to you all about who didn't show up at the prayer breakfast yesterday, because, you know, I think that that's a conversation that we need to have as well. So back to the DPP, folks. He has been a hot mess for quite some time. There have been a lot of complaints about him and his management style. And the Caymanians, I think, for a really long time in that office have felt disenfranchised. They don't feel like they have a voice. They don't feel like they're treated fairly. A lot of them are not given the same opportunities to work on cases or promoted. And then on top of that, there are these allegations of racism, which I'm trying to get some more details on exactly what he was doing for them to have lodged these complaints. But my sources indicate that there was some investigation about a week and a half ago that had begun. And of course, the governor's office, along with the legal, I think it's the Legal Advisory Council, are the ones who appoint him to his position. So let me just see if I can confirm. The screen is a little bit hard to see in broad daylight because it has a filter on it. But they're the ones who actually hire him and appoint the senior positions in that office. So let me just have a quick look here. Yeah, so his resignation was breaking news yesterday. But yes, he doesn't go through the regular channels in terms of being hired. Let's just put it that way, right? And so it is super interesting that it took so long for the complaints to really reach. My laptop battery says I'm dying, and I don't know if there's a charger out here, so we might have to end the show here shortly. But yeah, so, you know, his behavior seems to have been questionable for quite some time. I'm going to get some more information. So it's the Legal Services Commission that appoints him. I will get some additional information on exactly what was alleged to have been occurring that kicked off this investigation about a week and a half ago. So yes, Soka, you're not the only one waiting to hear from Bernie. We all are. And this is where now, folks, you got to step up to the plate, because we ain't giving you a pass just because you're part of this PAC government. We're going to give you a pass because you've earned a pass and because you deserve a pass. And you have done the things that you need to do. Hint, hint, get on it. Where's Juliana O'Connor Connolly? As much as she loved a church and a good prayer session, she wasn't at the prayer breakfast yesterday. Neither was Moses. I feel like this government should not have taken Juliana on, because she's going to go out of her way to just make them look bad. That's exactly how I feel, honestly. Who else wasn't there? Alden McLaughlin was not there. Another no-show for another event. Barbara Connolly was not there. Another no-show for another event. David White was not there. Dwayne Seymour was not there. In fact, the only member of the opposition I believe was there was the opposition leader, Mr. McTaggart, because he was reading a scripture. So I guess that's why he showed up. No other members of the opposition. Who else is in opposition? Am I missing anybody? But no other members of the opposition and their one alliance member, which is Dwayne Seymour, actually showed up. So they think now that for the next 4 years, they're going to be making $8,000 plus a month and not do any work. No, honey child. CMR will be riding you like the donkey that you are. And everything that you don't show up to, we are going to inform the people of and let them know, because 2025 is going to be here before you know it. And if you think that you're not going to get voted out in 2025, Barbara, David, Alden, Green Seymour, I think you need to be thinking again. The people made a mistake putting them back in, because now that they're not in control and they're part of the Miss Julie Keem, she was sitting near me at the paper. Really? Thank you, Patsy, because I didn't see her. And somebody else said to me that they thought she was there, but I didn't see her at all. Well, I'm so glad to hear that, because I thought to myself, she loves a good prayer session, so she should be front and center. So thank you, Patsy, for clarifying and correcting me on that. I appreciate it. I didn't see her though. Was she wearing any big red hats anywhere? Um, yes, my dear Jasara. Not only are they petty about not showing up to events, but they're petty about telling people, well, I know you didn't vote for me, you didn't support me, so um, now that you have an issue, go talk to somebody else. You're still the elected member, Barbara. Why are you telling somebody to go talk to somebody else for? To me, that is so rude and completely out of order. Anyway, so Juliana was there. That was good. Did I miss anybody else? I didn't see Moses. Was Barbara there? Nobody else was there. No, sir. I just got a comment. By the way, my little friend, I need to come and see you. So, big shout out again to Rotaract Blue. Fantastic organization. Oh, yes. Thank you so much for that comment. Many of the older folks ate their avocado in their soups. I love it cut in half and a little Jamaican pickle pepper poured on top of it with anchovies. Ooh, that sounds like quite the treat. Missing politicians from the breakfast indicated their unforgiveness of the people who voted the PPM into opposition. Well, if you voted for PPM, that might have been your first problem. Anyway, yes, we're going to be keeping track of them in terms of their attendance records. I will be FOIing the Hansard to see exactly who attended, and we will give you guys regular reports on this, because I think it's horrible that these people are making that kind of money. Over $8,000 a month? You better show your behind up to work. And I don't want no excuses. I don't care if you had to go pick up your bling bling ring or whatever it is. I'm not business with that. Show up to work, okay? All right, folks. I don't know how much left I have on this. Well, I should be able to tell, right? On this device in terms of charging, because I do know it just came up telling me that I better find a plug-in. So before it just switches off on me, which it will, let's go ahead and play Sylvia's song, Waymaker. Beautiful selection. Sylvia, thank you so much for your performance yesterday. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks again to the speaker for putting it on. And we really hope that, some of those Christian values begin to sink in to a lot of us. And we're not like one day a week Christians where you just go to church on Sunday and then the rest of the week you are the biggest devil next to the devil himself. Having said that, today is Thursday. Tomorrow we should be back in full swing with a regular show. And like I said, I want to focus our discussion on the DPP's office. We will be interviewing Charles, and what we're going to do with Charles is to have a sit-down interview with him that we then air and premiere later on, because his story, you guys are going to be blown away by what Charles has to say in terms of what led up to the incident that you saw. So we saw a snippet in time, but there's so much more to what actually happened. So enjoy the rest of your day, folks. My apologies for the late start today, but I really needed to, and big shout out to the HSA. They were able to accommodate me to come in and see Dr. Pecos before he even started his regular visits and his regular clinic. So I appreciate that. And, I'll go back and see him in a couple months and see how things are coming along. And I'll keep you guys abreast of that situation. So quite a few appointments today. Big shout out to Popeyes and Burger King. They have new owners. And let me clarify, the new owner is not Dart, folks. A lot of y'all like, did Dart buy it? I know Dart buys a lot, but he didn't buy this. So make sure that You guys keep up with the correct news now. Okay? So I'm going to be meeting with them a little bit later on. We might do a live stream. We'll take a photo of the new owners so you can put a face to it. One of them, he has been here forever, Mr. Fred Dallas, and I love me some Fred. So we're going to talk to him a little bit this morning. Yes, I'm going to see them right before midday. All right, folks, that's all she wrote. I wish you guys a beautiful day. Enjoy this lovely selection from Sylvia. If you see Sylvia today, give Sylvia a big shout out. And thanks to all of the MPs who did show up to the prayer breakfast yesterday. It was a wonderful event. I think they missed a treat, missed an opportunity to really mingle with a lot of people. Go to the website. We did a photo vlog. We captured a lot of pictures. And when I go to these events, I love to take photos of Caymanian faces. If you notice me when I'm taking photos, yeah, the governor's great and whatever. But I'm not really all about that. I'm about show me the Caymanians in the audience. Young, old, in between. I love me a Caymanian face because we are definitely a dying breed. Big shout out to Colin, my little friend. He's a super fan. He's in Triple C high school, and he was there and he got his little picture taken with the governor. He was so excited, and we did a little selfie and stuff as well. He loves him some CMR, so big shout out to Colin, and I wish you guys a very pleasant day.
Light in the darkness.